All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our second annual CSU East Bay Grad Slam research presentation competition, right? So thank you so much for all attending, especially our finalists here and our esteemed judges and our audience members here in the room as well as on Zoom, right? So I think this is gonna be a really exciting and just really enlightening sort of competition we had. We were fantastic last year, and we have an even better set of people this year. Could you move that along, please? So my name is Kevin Brown. I'm the Director of Grad Studies here at Cal State East Bay. So I oversee kind of all the graduate programs, and I also get the opportunity to meet and try to recruit some of our esteemed undergraduate students into our graduate programs. So what is Grad Slam? Grad Slam actually, again, this is our second annual Grad Slam. Some of the other CSUs have been doing it for like 3 or 4 years. What it is a campus-wide competition for what we actually think of as an elevator talk. Right, a little 3-minute presentation where you need to talk about what the problem is that you're trying to solve and the way that you've solved it and what your results are, all in 3 minutes, and using just one static PowerPoint slide. Right, so the sponsors of our event are Dr. Chandra Khan, who is our AVP of the Office of Research and Sponsors Programs, who provided all our food and drinks and the big prizes that we're going to give out at the end. Our provost, Kim Greer, is here as well, and we would also thank Dr. Kathy Sandine, who actually has always shown a really strong support for research in the university, right, which is what we're going to see today. I'd like to introduce our judges, right? So our first judge here is Dr. Clark Boothby, who is our new Director of Career Education, or Career Center, I'm sorry. Right? So welcome, Clark. Thank you for spending your time here with us. Our second is Dr. Csueb and she is a professor in our Department of Speech, Language, and Hearing Sciences, and also the director of our University Honors Program. So thank you, Csueb. We then have Mr. Kushal Shashrati, who is actually associated as Students Incorporated, the Executive Vice President and Chief of Staff, as well as actually a graduate student in our Master's in Interaction Design and Interactive Art programs. Thank you, Kushal, for attending. And we have Dr. Holly Vujia, who is a professor in our Department of Social Work and also a past graduate coordinator of the Master's in Social Work program. So thank you, Holly. And finally, we have Ms. Madison Watkins, who is a constituent services representative at the federal level, and she's actually getting her MPA, our Master's in Public Administration at the American University School of Public Affairs in Washington, D.C. So thank you so much, Madison, for joining us. All right, this is our list of finalists that we have. We have 7 undergraduate finalists and 9 graduate finalists, and we're going to go through them in this order. So the rules for the Grad Slam competition is that you do need to be enrolled in our university right now during the semester, and you need to be doing some independent research. Again, the presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and we're going to have a little timer up here on the screen so you can actually, so you and the presenter can see how long the time has gone. And again, you just get one static PowerPoint slide. Our hard-working judges up here are asked to actually judge each presentation on 7 different metrics with scores from 1 to 5 for a total possible score of 35. And this actually is with the same sort of scoring that's going to be used when some of our winners go to the CSU-wide Grad Slam competition that's being held in May. This is just a little example of how this will go. So for each presenter, we're going to provide this information about their name, the name of their research, who their advisor is, and so on. And then they'll come up here, and I'll introduce them in this way. This will be their static slide. And down here in the bottom, either in the bottom left-hand corner or in the bottom right-hand corner, will be a little timer. You can start on. Right, so it's going to count down 3, 2, 1, begin, and then we'll count down from 3 minutes, right? So we will know, as well as the presenter will know, exactly how much time they have available to them, right? So they all know this, right? All you finalists know that you need to keep the 3 minutes. There will be a penalty if they go over the time that is allotted. Okay, okay, so we're going to get started right now. Right, so our first presenter is Sam Calderas. So you can come up here. So Sam's presentation is called Gustav's Off Telegraph, Nazi Sympathizers and the Resistance in Oakland and the Bay Area. And they are getting a BA in History, and their advisor is Elizabeth McGuire.
All right, so I researched the history of Nazism in Oakland, but also the Bay Area in the 1930s. And for this, I looked at German cultural groups, the Nazi organizations that spawned from them, their ties to local government, and the labor unions that actually fought against them. And part of why I researched this is There's nothing on it. There is on the wider American Nazi movement, but nothing on Oakland, so I want to close that gap. The other reason I chose it is I'm from Oakland. I assumed, given my hometown's progressive history and who we are now, that the 1930s would be the same. But once I actually started to go on my own to local archives, reading newspapers, and looking through old government reports, I found that that was not the case. Oakland tolerated the Nazis at this time, and a large part of it was because it was just seen as a German cultural phenomenon. And we see this in March of 1935 when, at the request of a local German group, the mayor of Oakland hosts a Nazi warship. They parade through downtown, they hang swastikas from City Hall, and he shakes hands with Nazi officials. And this would not be the only time he would do something like this, nor other officials in the area. The other reason they were tolerant of them is that they're violently anti-communist, and this is the beginning of the Red Scare. People are terrified of communism. And we really see this in May 1938 at a Nazi conference in San Francisco. Unions show up heavily to protest. But at this time, unions are facing accusations from the government that they are fronts for communist propaganda, and this, at the time, makes them un-American. And because of this image of being un-American, when the general public is given the unions versus supposedly just a German cultural group, they feel the Germans are more trustworthy. But despite this, the unions remain anti-Nazi, and so do many people in the Bay Area. And we see this anti-Nazism very literally explode in November of 1938 when a Nazi cargo ship is sabotaged in the Oakland estuary, and the ensuing explosion would kill 2 people and result in Adolf Hitler personally firing the German consul general in San Francisco. And my research is just a reminder that you take a progressive place like Oakland, you scratch the surface of its history, and you may find who we were is entirely different from who we are. And that is in large part because of the work of groups like these unions being willing to fight against extremist ideologies like those of the Nazis. Thank you.
Sam, while the judges are tallying their scores here, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to come to Cal State East Bay for your degree?
I'm from Oakland, and this was always the place that everyone talked about as like the university to transfer to. And my aunt went here. I had a lot of friends that were like, oh, I'm going there, and so I was like, this must be the place to be. And now that I've been researching this, I'm like, this is the perfect place because it's right near everything I want to research. Because there also was a Nazi camp only 15 minutes from here in Dublin Canyon, if you've ever been there. There was a Nazi youth camp. So it's a perfect place for my research.
Very good. And do you like to do anything when you're not concentrating on history?
Yeah, I play, like any person my age, I play video games, I make models, of course I do World War II models. I also do Sam on the Street, if you guys have seen it. I work on the Instagram. So I actually got a picture with the person performing today, Leon Thomas from Victorious. We're trying to get a video with him, which is why I was asking if I have to say the whole time because I wanted to run over there. But yeah, I'm a student assistant for the communications department is how I got that. So.
All right, well, thank you so much. All right, our next presenter will be Jerzy Kavigting. The title of this talk is Characterization of Antioxidants in Pistachio Beer Leaf Tissues Under Salinity Stress. And Jerzy's in the BS of Biological Sciences, working with his advisor, Monica Summerhalter.
As you may know, climate change is a big concern for agriculture, and that's because of drastic shifts in weather patterns, so droughts occur more often, causing environmental stress to plants. Soil salinity increases and water uptake is hindered due to the resulting osmotic pressure. So plants accumulate reactive oxygen species, destroying cell structures, leading to senescence and necrosis. So their metabolic pathways produce antioxidants in response to the free radicals and nullify them, which makes some plants like pistachios able to handle more salinity, making them tolerant to poorer irrigation qualities. Here, we studied the stress response due to salinity by extracting total antioxidants from leaf samples separated into healthy and necrotic tissues. And they're taken from plots of pistachio trees that are irrigated with varying salt concentrations, as shown here in the table, where plot 7 show the most saline soil. So we used ABTS, which is a specific type of colorimetric assay to measure the collective antioxidant profiles of the plant with which many molecules contribute. And you can see a trend where the ABTS signal is higher in healthy tissues, showing more antioxidants present there than necrotic ones. You can also see a trend between the plots, where plot 7 or P7 in orange, irrigated with a higher salt concentration, also show more antioxidants than plot 1 next to it in both tissues. Now, we can also characterize individual molecules in response to this change in soil salinity through HPLC. And shown here is a photo of an HPLC system with which we used to detect many molecules, 2 of which are examples of phenolic compounds that fall under just one class of antioxidants. And with the molecule catechine here, you can see that there's a higher antioxidant capacity and more abundance in the healthy tissues than necrotic, even if it's more subtle this time. The difference, though, is more profound between the plots in comparison to the overall antioxidants produced by the plant. Now, however, when we detected another molecule like gallic acid, we can see that it's quite the opposite trend that occurs. That this time there's higher abundance in the necrotic tissue. So we thought it's rather interesting that a plant would accumulate resources in its dying parts, which means that the trend of individual molecules don't necessarily follow that of the overall trend of antioxidants produced by the plant, which makes evaluating the stress response of pistachios complicated, and finding all the molecules that respond to that stress, well, forget it. So we do what we can and identify what we can, and by characterizing even a small portion of the molecular response to stress, we can modify crop choices based on their stress tolerance and select crops like pistachios to mitigate the impacts of soil salinity, conserving essential fresh water. And these strategies, alongside development and research, will be absolutely necessary with the coming changes in climate. Thank you.
What sorts of things do you like to do in the Bay Area? You travel around and see things?
I'm actually from the Valley, so when I came up here, I've always loved the Bay Area, always go here for the fun stuff, essentially. And I like the view of the Bay, and so I chose this campus, and also because of its diversity, I guess. And so, I just fell in love with the campus when I walked into it, and essentially that's why I chose.
And why did you choose biological sciences as your degree?
I've always been interested in science, didn't know what field I was gonna go into, but it ended up being biology, and fell in love with the research and the pace of research, essentially.
Do you have any time to watch TV or movies or something?
For sure. When I find time, yeah, just like what they said before, I just play video games and, of course, watch TV, all the popular. Yep.
Okay, so thank you so much. Right. Our next presenter is Shama Farhad, and she's going to be giving a presentation on preliminary assessment of educational outreach to promote colorectal cancer screening among diverse South Asian communities in California.
Use the mic.
Oh, sorry. I'll skip over that. Thank you. And she's in our Bachelor's of Public Health program with her advisor, Arnab Mukherjee. So, this one. Right.
Okay, so this aggregated data, the data broken down into 4 subgroups, including Asian, Indian, Bangladeshi, Indo-Fijian, which is the community that I come from, and Pakistani, is broken down into each subgroups in order to assess the unique culturally tailored interventions that is needed for these subgroups. So yes, this aggregated data reflects stagnant colorectal cancer screenings amongst these underrepresented South Asian subgroups. Oh, there you go. Okay, so disaggregated data reflects stagnant colorectal cancer screenings among these subgroups. Common sociocultural factors include shame associated with the cancer site, gender norms, religious worldviews, and mistrust with the healthcare system. And so the main purpose of this study was to basically assess the potential efficacy of community-engaged outreach, meaning that we go to these communities to promote overall health equity, emphasize prevention, and also emphasize prevention. And so moving on, how we did this was we delivered culturally tailored health education presentations. Specifically, these were at religious sites, and we had a pre-survey and a post-survey. So pre-survey essentially gauged where they were at in terms of if they were up to date with their colorectal cancer screenings, and post-survey, you can see here, assess their intervention arm. So if they were going to have inclined to make an appointment to get their screening within the follow-up year. So as you can see, across all 4 subgroups, it's definitely very different on where they stand at in terms of colorectal cancer screenings, which is why we emphasize the importance of disaggregated data within public health. And then you can see here across all 4 subgroups, there's a high intention to get screened within the next year. So overall, with the results, we found that trust was a huge thing. We really emphasized relationship building and trust with key community leaders, and that helped us with data collection. And then after building trust, they found that they were more receptive into having more health education events, as well as choice of venue was very pivotal because all of these 4 subgroups come from various social and cultural and religious backgrounds. So we wanted to maintain safe spaces to respect that. So, and we also found that this framework not only is like an emphasis for colorectal cancer, but this can be applied to many other chronic public health issues that underrepresented communities face on a daily basis. So quickly, I just wanted to say, as an Indo-Fijian female within the public health group, this research has meant so much to me because this is the first research that is going to highlight the Indo-Fijian community's health disparities, as well as giving my community a platform to speak on issues that could directly pertain to them. Thank you.
Excellent job, excellent job. So I think everybody here knows how great Cal State East Bay is, but can you say maybe why you chose to come to our
Yeah, I chose this campus because my family, friends, and my older sister came here, but more importantly, diversity is super important to me, to see people like me on campus. So Cal State East Bay ranks #1 in that, so that's why I chose this campus.
Fantastic. And what do you like to do in your spare time, if you have any? I know from working with Dr. Mukherjee, you probably don't have much.
Yeah. In my spare time, when I do get it, I like to build Legos, I like to garden, I like to paint, and also meditate, so yeah.
Do you grow flowers or do you grow vegetables?
Yeah, mainly succulents because they're easier to not kill. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, our next contestant is Trudisi Pistan. And her talk is on a mixed method study of barriers and facilitators to mindfulness-based weight loss among Latina women. And she's working in the same department, actually, as our last presenter on a Bachelor's of Health Sciences with her advisor, Dr. Michael Stanton.
Obesity is a well-known risk factor for illnesses like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and other comorbidities that significantly affect one's quality of life. In the face of health disparities, we're seeing these illnesses affect certain communities at disproportionate levels. Latina women in the United States are classified as overweight or obese at significantly higher levels than their non-Latina counterparts. Latina women also report the highest levels of stress out of any ethnic minority group. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is a program that was designed to physiologically affect the way our bodies respond to stress. Things like meditation, yoga, anything that brings your mind to the present moment can actually affect how our body responds to stress. Mindfulness-based weight loss actually targets that stress-mediating pathway when it comes to weight gain. So these studies have been performed. However, these sample sizes have not included Latina women. So this group of women can actually potentially benefit the most from a stress-based mindfulness intervention for weight loss. Our study started with a literature review to see all of the existing publications on mindfulness and weight loss. We found 8. So those 8 papers informed our qualitative interviews where we spoke with these women. We had open conversations about their perspectives, their understandings when it came to mindfulness and weight loss. We then coded these interviews in a program called Deduce that allowed us to do qualitative analysis and pick out some themes and trends that came from our study. We also did some quantitative analysis, but that's where you see where these graphs are. We're still working on this data, so the statistical analysis hasn't been finished. I'm going to focus on our qualitative themes. So weight gain and stress was one of the most prominent themes that came up. These women would talk about how they're stressed out, so we eat. They're stressed out, and I notice my body is gaining weight, and I don't know what to do to stop it. We also talked about mindfulness practices that these women were already engaging in. Things like prayer, things like going on walks, things that people don't typically regard as mindfulness practices, these women were already doing. Lastly, accessibility was actually a barrier that we found to mindfulness-based interventions. These women were taking on so many things. And yes, this was causing their stress, but it also would prevent them from engaging in a consistent 8-week program. And that's something to consider as we would create one in the future. So it's extremely important that we got these perspectives from these women. And as we move forward, getting the understandings from Latina women would inform us to make a culturally appropriate and evidence-based, mindfulness-based weight loss program. Thank you.
All right, excellent job. I'd like to ask you maybe a little bit of a controversial question. We actually have our new, we have a survey going on to determine what our new mascot should be. So are you afraid of the jackal, the osprey, or the owl? Thank you.
Osprey?
It's a peregrine falcon. I'm sorry. Peregrine, that's almost the same thing. I was not very prepared for that question, was I? Peregrine falcon or owl or jackal? What would you actually choose?
Falcons are pretty cool. That's why I would choose the falcons.
I was thinking if there's like a set of osprey up in Berkeley, right, that they actually got on this webcam. It's like, we can do that. Is there anything you like to do for fun around the Bay Area?
I really love to sing. That's one of my things. So
Fantastic.
I'm in a couple choirs around the Bay Area.
Very good. Do you like to travel around, or have you seen anything exciting you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite places is Castle Rock State Park in Saratoga. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Only an hour south, I think. So, yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Actually,
I'll just
yeah.
put that back. All right, our next contestant is Gabrielle Gorstiza, and she's going to be talking about simultaneous inhibition of soluble epoxide hydrolase and fatty acid amide hydrolase alleviates inflammatory pain in male and female rats. I had to look up a bunch of those terms and the pronunciation before this thing. And she's in our PHAP program, the Pre-Professional Health Academic Program, working with her advisor, Ram Kandasamy.
Testing. So I have a quick question for everyone. Has anyone here ever had to take a painkiller by show of hands? Just real quick. I know that I have. So today I'm going to talk about our work regarding new non-opioid treatments for pain. So pain is one of the primary causes of concern that individuals usually have regarding their health, and unfortunately in this day and age it's poorly treated. In the past 5 decades, there have been no new treatments for pain. And so to remedy this, we have developed a single novel drug called SW17, and it's pictured on the top left flow chart there. And what this does is it inhibits 2 enzymes in the body, Fa, which stands for fatty acid amide hydrolase, and SEH, which stands for soluble epoxide hydrolase. And the inhibition of both of these enzymes in the body promotes anti-inflammatory molecules, and this translates to alleviation of acute inflammatory pain. So we hypothesized that the dual inhibition of both Fa and SEH by SW17 will alleviate inflammatory pain in both male and female rats. And we modeled this pain by via a dilute formalin injection into the hind paw of the rat. And 30 minutes prior to the formalin injection, we pre-treated the rats with either vehicle, ketoprofen, which is a traditional NSAID, or our drug, SW17. And the injection will cause a licking response in the rat, and that licking response is measured for 60 minutes after formalin injection. And the data for this is projected in the top right image. The smaller the bar, the greater the pain relief. So the 3 bars in the center represent SW17, and if you notice, the inhibited licking response of these bars are comparable to that of ketoprofen, which is, to note, our positive control, meaning it's a drug that we know works in this model. It's also important to note that our experiment was done on male rats, but this pattern has also been observed in female rats. Thus, according to this data, SW17 may alleviate acute inflammatory pain in male and female rats. And It may also be a therapeutic avenue for alleviating pain in humans. Thank you.
Great, that was excellent, very good job. Maybe could you tell everyone what does someone do with a PHAP certificate, right? I know that it's an enormous and very successful program. What sort of career are you looking to
So
get into?
PHAP is usually for either academic enhancers or career changers that want to go either into the medical field, into the dental field, or be a physician's assistant. Some people do it to become a CLS or to get a PhD as well.
Right. And what is your plan?
My plan is to become a physician scientist, so I'll be going for MD, PhD programs.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm the director of grad studies, so I love anyone who's thinking of going into a grad program. Wonderful. And are there, what's like a place in the Bay Area that you maybe like to visit?
To visit?
Or to see? Is there like a nice hike? Or
I like to be
nice
outdoors because I have dogs, so I like to hike around. Usually I go to Fort Funston in Pacifica.
Oh.
It's a nice walk, and they allow your dogs to walk around like off leash.
Wonderful.
So,
All right, thank you so much. That's perfect. Our next presenter is Katie Hermanson, and she's going to be presenting on the search for non-interacting particles, experimental height, the snipe hunt. And she's working with Dr. Derek Kimball, sitting in the back there, on her bachelor's in physics.
All right. Did you know that out of all the matter in our known universe, some of it you can't even see with your own eyes? Turns out over 80% of all the matter that we know about in our universe doesn't interact with light at all. This invisible substance is known as dark matter. The mysterious dark matter is an extremely fundamental building block for physics. It could even be passing through this room right now and we wouldn't even know it. It's responsible for galaxies and the large-scale structure formation that form our universe as we know it today. So what is dark matter? Well, we don't exactly know its true nature. However, we definitely know that it's out there. But if we can't see it with our eyes, how can we detect it? This is what my research is trying to figure out. So assuming dark matter has certain properties based on our theory and model, the Earth itself can act as a transducer for a potential dark matter particle. That just means that the Earth can convert a hypothetical dark matter signal into something that we can actually measure here on Earth, aka a magnetic field. This magnetic field exists across the entirety of Earth's surface, and it can be measured using a special detector called a magnetometer. However, because magnetic fields are extremely sensitive to regular electronic noise, we have to go out into the wilderness to find it. So that means we have to be away from power lines, away from electricity, away from buildings, away from civilization. Our detectors need a quiet environment in order to pick up a signal. In the summer of 2023, our team did just that. So we went camping and we collected data over the course of 4 days. So what did we find? Well, this plot here shows our signal as a function of frequency. If we were to see a dark matter particle, it would show up as a very large spike somewhere across that blue area there. A spike in our signal would mean that a potential dark matter particle might exist at that specific frequency. That frequency would then correspond to a specific mass. This would give us a hint as to what kind of properties a dark matter particle would have. Based on the data that we've analyzed so far, we have not detected anything that could be called dark matter as of yet. However, the areas we are searching in are helpful in ruling out where we know dark matter isn't. This, in turn, gives us a great idea for where to search next time and informs future experiments for eventually finding dark matter and hopefully filling in the puzzle of what this mysterious substance is and what it means for our universe. Thank you.
All right, very good. That was excellent. So are you an avid camper already, or was this like kind of a new experience for you?
Oh, and I like camping. I went camping a lot as a kid. But one thing I really love about this research is that you get to do physics outdoors, you know? Most physicists are stuck in a lab or in a basement, and I think that's one of the appeals of the snipe hunt is that you get to be outside and you get to have fun and, you know, go swimming in rivers and yeah.
Fantastic. Is there a particular reason you chose Cal State East Bay as the university you wanted to practice physics at?
Yeah, so I'm not from here. I'm a non-traditional undergrad. I moved here from Colorado, and I knew that I wanted to study somewhere in California. And I was looking for post-baccalaureate physics programs, and Hayward just seemed like close to everything. And I was like, oh, it's close to San Francisco, it's close to Oakland. So that's how I landed here, and I love it so far.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for presenting for us. Right? All right, our next undergraduate and last undergraduate presenter is Leah Perea, and she's going to be talking about helping older adults alleviate boredom, development of leisure education intervention program, and she's in our bachelor's in hospitality and tourism, working with her advisor, Dr. Jason Ann.
I'd like you all to take a moment and just think to yourselves, what do you do when you feel bored or experience boredom? We usually, whether it's going on YouTube or going outdoors, we usually engage in some sort of leisure activity of our choice. This seems like an easy process. However, we found that within older adults, it's a bit more difficult due to various reasons, such as chronic conditions or living arrangements. However, we found in the existing literature that boredom is detrimental to their overall health and well-being. Therefore, we decided to come up with a leisure education intervention program. And to the best of our knowledge, this is the first leisure education intervention program tailored to the specific needs and preferences of older adults. This gives them the tools to effectively manage their time as well as combat boredom. Now, looking at the list, I've gone ahead and attached our 6-week curriculum. For week 1, we have leisure appreciation, where participants will delve into intrinsic motivation, and they'll learn about activities that bring them personal joy and fulfillment. Week 2, we have leisure assessment and planning. Week 3, we have improving self-awareness and sense of purpose through leisure. Week 4, they're going to build self-determination and motivation through leisure. And week 5, we have self-regulation through leisure, where we like to implement the strategy of selective optimization with compensation framework. Week 6, we're going to have participants take all previous 5 course weeks, and we're going to have them put it together to make informed decisions about their leisure preferences and choices. The 6-week program, each session consists of 4 components. There will be a lecture-style learning, there's going to be a facilitated discussion, following that will be an activity-based learning, and finally, we're going to give them some take-home tasks so they can practice at home. We hope to implement this leisure intervention program into several senior centers and senior facilities. That way they have the greatest impact that they can. Overall, this isn't just about boredom, it's about addressing a deeper hunger for boredom, or a deeper hunger for purpose and happiness in older adults' lifestyles. Thank you very much, everyone.
No, you're doing good. So that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So maybe you could tell us how you decided to study hospitality and tourism. And why is it?
Yeah, so it's actually not a very popular major. I was actually originally thinking psychology, business administration, but I love to travel. I love to eat. I love to talk to people, and I love cultures, and that's all filled with hospitality and tourism, so it's great.
Fantastic. And for those of us who are still using Expedia, are we like fools, or do you have like tricks that they tell you in your discipline on how to
We've
get
got
better
some
deals?
tricks.
Yeah.
You guys clear your cookies, clear your cache, make sure that your history is cleared so you could get the best prices on airlines. But honestly, I didn't learn that from my program.
All right.
I learned that from TikTok.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. So our first graduate student presenter is Shreya Arora, and she's going to be talking about bridging gaps in CBE's curriculum and education. She's in our Master's in Business Analytics program, working with her advisor, Dr. Asha Rao.
Do you know, eating apples make a good teacher great? Funny, right? Azul, a best-selling author, realized this when he asked a student, what do you think makes a teacher great? And student said, you should eat apples. So what he did, he stood in front of them and started eating apples. They used to see him, smile at him, and bring him even more apples to eat. That was then he realized it was their way of building relationships, to build trust. They wanted to be heard. That is something that I've been studying. There have been thousands of studies that tell you how building a strong curriculum and improving quality education is a two-way street, where involvement of a student is as important as that of a teacher. This is my why, this is my purpose, this is my study. I started analyzing the current curriculum of College of Business and Economics at CSU East Bay. And what we did was followed an extensive method where we identified the key KPIs set by AACSB, the longest standing accreditation committee. We took current student surveys, reached out to past 10 years of CBE alumni, and even had one-on-one interviews with the professors. And what we got to know was something really exciting. We followed on 3 major gap areas. What students expect out of their program. Second, what the professors expect out of their teaching. And third, what are the industry requirements? Be it corporate jobs that you're going for or further education, be it anything. What are the industry requirements that you need to see? The results that we got was quite interesting. Both professors and students highlighted that there's a need of a stronger career support at CSU East Bay at CBE. And both of them were aligned in that area. Initiatives like alumni engagement, networking events is something they want to see more frequently at CBE. The second thing that was highlighted from both of them was the curriculum relevance of CBE as compared to the industry requirement. Both of them rated somewhere similar to 67% to 69%. That highlighted more need of industry trends bringing into our current curriculum. This was more of the data, but our study was not mostly about the data, but the feedback that we received from them. The bureaucratic hurdles that our faculty faced and collaboration hurdles that they are facing right now was something that came out in every interview that I took. And crucial feedback that the student highlighted was that they need more industry exposure. And I'm working towards it, and we are forming a curriculum transformation team at CSB where both students and faculty will be joined together, bringing up a more stronger curriculum. And this is my why. I hope when you go home today, you take my why with you and also help with the feedback of yours so that we can build a much stronger curriculum at CB at CSU East Bay. Thank you so much.
Excellent job. So our Master's in Business Analytics is one of our biggest graduate programs here at Cal State Bay with over 200 students. How did you choose that program as the one you wanted?
This is actually my second Master's. I am a chemist by my first Master's, and I wanted to switch fields. I've been working for past 3 years as well, and I wanted to go for analytics program, and I was confused between this and SGSU. But I landed here because I know this is the place where I'll get the best exposure, and I have been getting the best exposure at this university as well.
Fantastic. Well, we're really happy to have you here. Were you done? Yes. Oh, they're done. Okay, perfect. So thank you so much. Perfect. Our second graduate presenter is Claudia Bukovic, and she's talking about investigation of zinc soap formation and damage mechanism in oil paintings using FTIR spectroscopy. And she's working with Dr. Stephanie Zaleski on her master's in chemistry.
In recent years, the zinc soap formation in oil paintings has presented a significant challenge in art conservation. This issue can result in irreversible damage, such as separation of paint layers and formation of cracks and craters on the painting surface. The top left figure shows a famous painting exhibited signs of crystalline zinc soap in the areas of red and green pigment 75 years after its creation. The further analysis of the artwork revealed that it was created with a blend of linseed and poppy seed oil and zinc white pigment, which are the culprits behind zinc soap formation. So in my research, I conducted an accelerated aging study to study how the zinc soap and other factors can damage artwork over time. So as you can see in the top right figure, those are the model samples that were created with the processed linseed oil and zinc white pigment. The slides were separated into 3 areas, and 2 unique red paint layers were added to the section B and C of the slides. The study ran 3 tests under accelerated conditions. The samples were aged under high humidity conditions at room and high temperature to study the degradation process in art. In parallel, the standard test was conducted at room temperature. We have infrared spectroscopy data shown in the bottom left figure, which was used to study the aging process and the mechanism. The data is the chemical fingerprint that tells us about the unique molecules found in the sample. As we can see, the left peak in the spectrum increased in absorbance, which means that the zinc soap continued to grow over time. On the other hand, the right peak in the spectrum, which is the characteristic of the oil paint in the medium, decreased over time. So what it means is that there is certain compounds in the oil paint that reacted over time and formed the zinc soaps. All these outcomes were consistent across various modified slide sections that we made whenever they were exposed to high heat and high humidity. However, zinc soap did not grow under the other 2 environmental conditions. And then we have the mathematically fitted data. So we used the chemically fingerprint data, and we were able to identify, using a mathematical model, 3 different types of zinc soap, which can be seen at the top, and the bottom shows what is used in the oil. So hopefully this research helps to find a method to cure the degradation, which is still an issue.
All right, excellent job. Do you maybe have a favorite artist or museum that you like to visit?
I went to the Legions, which was very nice, and a couple. I'm actually not the artist by heart. I'm a scientist and love analytical chemistry, so like you can just go into any field and like study things collect the data, analyze the data, so
Wonderful,
get to
wonderful.
experience a lot.
And is there something fun that you like to do here in the Bay Area?
Yeah, I like to be outdoors, and I love going to the national parks and like state parks, hiking. I really like hiking and like trying to see all the national parks here.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, our next presenter is Namrata Dugana, and she is talking on This or That, the Complex Life of the Female Fly and Census at Government. And she is working in on her Master's of Biological Sciences with Dr. Divya Saraman.
We all make decisions in our lives, right? Some decisions can be as simple as what to wear today, just like I decided to wear confidence. Others can be complex. Decision making is not just unique to human beings, and even the smallest organisms, such as fruit flies, also make decisions throughout their life cycle. One of the most important decisions that a female fruit fly makes is where to lay their eggs, which is also called oviposition. Previous studies suggest that fruit flies, like us, love sugar as it is very palatable and is a source of energy. However, when a female fly is provided with sugar as a substrate to lay their eggs, they will not choose that substrate. But if a female fly is provided with a yeast, which is a rich source of protein, they will choose that substrate to lay their eggs. In a natural environment, a female fly will not get a pure substrate, so it must access its environment using various senses such as taste, smell, vision, and so on. We performed a series of experiments using a simple 2-choice assay. One of the choices is plain or no substrate, as shown in blue there, and the other is a mix of sugar and yeast in various concentrations, as shown in green there. When sugar is 5% and yeast is 2% of concentration, the female fly will choose to lay their eggs on blue or plain and will not choose the sugar and yeast. But as the sugar decreases, but yeast is same, they will slowly change their preference and start laying their eggs on sugar and yeast mix. Again, when yeast is increased but sugar is same, they will not change their preference. They will still lay their eggs on blue, as shown there. We also performed experiments using plain versus sugar and plain versus yeast to see if they really love sugar, love yeast and hate sugar. And turns out that they are really aversive to sugar, because when we did plain versus sugar, they didn't go to sugar, they went to plain. But when there was plain versus yeast, they laid their eggs on yeast substrate. Interesting, right? So just like us, flies also decide what to do and what not to do, just like where to lay eggs and where not to lay their eggs. So there must be some neurons in their brain, and there must be some test receptors that are involved in this decision-making process in the egg-laying behavior. So we will be testing, and we are currently testing gustatory receptors, which are like test receptors that test sugar, and we are finding that there are some test receptors that are directly involved in this process and will change their behavior. And in the future, we will also be trying to map those receptors with the neurons that are involved in this decision making to understand how and why such decision making process and such dynamic process is involved, controlled by their brain. Thank you.
Very, very good. Maybe on a related topic, do you have a favorite dessert that you like to make or eat?
I do. It's an Indian dessert. It's gajar ka halwa. I really like it and I love to make it. It's easy to make too.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And how did you choose the biology department here at Cal State East Bay for your master's?
Sure. So I was an undergrad here. I did my undergrad here and then got to be in the grad. Research was the main reason I got to be in grad. I was in different labs before, but now that I'm in this lab, I'm like grateful that I chose this lab to do my research. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, so our next presenter is Ayushi Divivedi, and her talk is entitled Aero Assist, Empowering Mobility and Independence with Live Drone Navigation Guide. And she is actually getting a master's of computer science in my own department, yay, working with Dr. Derek Shonda.
Artificial intelligence, a buzzword these days, raising a common question in everybody's mind. Is it good or is it bad? So today I'm going to talk about my project and tell you all how I am leveraging the power of AI, and hopefully it will add a fresh perspective. So before providing details about my project, I would like to tell you all a personal experience that inspired its creation. So in year 2018, I met with a road accident and I faced difficulties that people with mobility issues usually face. My life got back to normal within a time frame of 6 to 12 months, but unfortunately that's not the case with everyone. 1 out of 4 persons in United States have some kind of disability, and 12% of them have mobility issues. A very common problem that they face is when they visit a new location, they find it really difficult to locate accessibility features such as ramps, elevators, etc. So I am trying to solve this problem through my project using drones. How? Meet Aero Assist, a navigation guide system using drones. So how this works? Assuming a drone station installation near the parking spot, once the person reaches to a new location, all they have to do is simply select their desired destination using a mobile phone application, and the drone will guide them to the destination with the most accessible path that will have ramps, elevators, and that will not have obstacles such as stairs, potholes, etc. I'm really happy to share with all of you that I have trained the drone with 80% accuracy to detect obstacles and accessibility features. Also, I have programmed the drone so that it can navigate through the path, avoiding the obstacles and having the accessibility features on the way. The research shows that 63% of the time, the people with mobility issues are hesitant to ask for help and they feel lack of independence. So with this, I hope that we'll become a more inclusive society and a better place to live for everybody. Thank you.
It's very interesting. So what I think everyone wants to know, maybe you have an opinion on this, is when is Amazon actually going to start dropping our packages off using drones?
Yeah, actually, I was also reading about it. So they are doing some kind of research, and they are, as part of their research, they are delivering to a limited area, I guess in Bay Area somewhere, but they are not actually, like, they just announced it, but they are yet to launch it.
Oh, very good. So computer science is one of our most popular grad programs too, with a couple hundred students in it. How did you end up choosing Cal State East Bay for your
Yeah,
grad degree?
so first of all, I was very interested in studying about software engineering and artificial intelligence, and I found both the courses that they are getting offered at Cal State East Bay. So that was the first reason. And the other reason was the Bay Area. It's the Silicon Valley. And since childhood, I've been hearing a lot, like all the innovations, and it's a technology hub. So basically, I just wanted to be here and explore and talk to industry experts, and I got plenty of opportunities here. So.
Fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
that's very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Alexandra Goodwin, and she's going to be talking about differentiated literacy in secondary content classrooms. She's working on her master's in reading and literacy with Dr. Shannon Heller.
Anyone who's followed education news in recent years has heard about a reading crisis. Sadly, as the infographic bordered in blue in the top left corner shows, the word crisis is not an over-exaggeration. The infographic shows how many third grade students are currently reading at grade level based on last year's 22 to 23 California state reading tests. What is immediately clear is a massive equity gap for the children in our state. Students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, Black, Hispanic, multilingual learners, or those with individualized special education plans are not being served by our schools and are not succeeding in reading. However, while this elementary crisis has received lots of attention, my research focuses on what happens to these same kids as they move forward into middle and high school. As students continue their education, reading becomes increasingly content-specific and more challenging. Students who struggle in reading begin to struggle in all content classes. Unfortunately, the solution for this at many middle and high schools is to funnel students into reading intervention courses, or classes that take the place of a student's elective that are designed to catch them up. Yet my research found that while these classes are well-intentioned, they are both inequitable, given who is funneled into them, and highly ineffective. Students are tracked into lower-skilled classes and eventually lower-paid opportunities in life. In my research, I surveyed middle and high school teachers in a large Bay Area suburban district. What I found is that although Common Core and state standards already envision a system in which literacy skills and support are used throughout all subjects, teachers were never truly prepared to implement this shift. The left bar graph shows how unprepared teachers feel to support students in learning to read, with a majority ranking themselves as knowing little about the topic themselves. As one science teacher shared, the system expects kids to be able to read once they hit middle school, and English and ELD teachers shore up the rest. Although teachers feel slightly more prepared to help students reading in their own subject area, as shown by the middle bar graph, teachers consistently mentioned a need for more training. One special education teacher discussed a need for more literacy-specific training and, quote, not just theory. Most PDs give data and textbook ideas, but real-life examples for high school are rarely shared. My research has direct implications for districts and credential programs across the state about professional development that is desperately needed by middle and high school teachers. There is no more important resource for helping students than giving teachers the knowledge they need to design effective instruction for the students in front of them. If we are to truly solve California's reading crisis, then teachers themselves need support in helping all students learn to read and succeed. Thank you.
Right, very good. So at Cal State East Bay, we actually have a number of different graduate education-related majors like curriculum and instruction and early childhood education and e-learning. How is it that you chose reading and literacy as your focus?
Reading and literacy has kind of always been my number one reason for going into teaching. So I've taught middle school English and history for over 15 years now. And consistently living that data and seeing the students come into my classroom and struggle has been what brought me to just continue my education and find more and more ways to help the students in front of me.
Oh, wonderful. All right, thank you so much. I'll take that from you. All right. Next up is Francisco Lopez Montaña, and he's going to be talking about a river diverged into two paths, a quantitative analysis of migration to the USA. And he is actually working on his Master's of Public Administration with Dr. Brandon Phillips.
Rivers have always held a central role in the flow of civilization. They were pivotal to early societies. They were sacred. They can also be deadly. Vilma de la Sancha Cerros and her 2 children lost their lives trying to enter the USA. Every year, thousands more lose their lives in this process. But what if we're the ones forcing them to migrate? In order to truly understand the migrant crisis, as well as its interdependence and complexity, we have to see it from different perspectives. For example, previous research shows that international trade flows determine the domestic economies of Latin American countries. Upon analyzing the long-term net trade between the USA and Latin America, the statistically significant results demonstrate that net increases in the flow of trade with Latin America cause increases in aggregate migration to the USA. Moreover, the demand for drugs in the USA is intense. However, illegal companies, also known as narcocartels, prefer to operate across Latin America, utilizing land, agricultural resources, and violence to supply the USA drug demand. Previous research also shows that border states which legalize marijuana have a significant decrease in their violent crime rates. As a result, I conducted a linear regression to compare the amount of states legalizing marijuana in the USA to the net flow of Mexican nationals migrating here. The statistically significant results show an intense correlation between the legalization of USA production of marijuana and a net decrease in Mexican nationals migrating here. Unfortunately, previous research has failed to motivate policy changes. Nonetheless, there is a partisan cost inherent in every year without an increase in visas. Previous research shows that Border Patrol apprehensions are causally linked to increases in conservative self-identification. I extended this research until 2021, while validating previous findings. Between 1990 and 2021, the rise in Border Patrol apprehensions caused an increase in conservative self-identification, as shown by Figure 1. Therefore, the partisan benefits from policy stagnation are highly one-sided, benefiting the Conservative Party at the cost of the Liberal one. Therein, it's also logical to say that Vilma de la Sancha Cerros lost her life because of a personal choice, when our international trade policies, our marijuana laws, and our demand for drugs are what made her leave her home. Rivers of resources thus dictate the fertility of paths in life. Or they can be used as deterrents for migration, sweeping away lives, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the process. The choice is ours to make. Thank you for your time.
Very good. So this is some really exciting work. What do you do when you want to relax?
So it depends. I love, so going back to that theme of water, I love swimming personally. I almost drowned 3 times when I was a kid. Didn't learn my lesson that way, but I did take some courses, learned how to swim, joined the swim team in high school, and now I do it for fun. It's very relaxing. It's kind of like Dory, you just keep swimming, but you know, it's very cathartic and therapeutic to be able to spend time in the water.
Fantastic. All right, thanks very much. All right. Our next presenter is America Orozco, and she's going to be talking about paternal attachment impact on adult relationships. She's working on her master's in social work with her advisor, Timothy Shea Morrison.
The research question asks, how does paternal attachment impact adult relationships, specifically friendships and romantic relationships? The literature used for the study defines healthy attachment as having trust, communication, and affection. Anxiety attachment traits include being fearful of being abandoned, low trust, and need for constant reassurance. Avoidant attachment traits include being emotionally distant and needing, being emotionally distant and needing constant reassurance. The reason I was interested in this topic was due to my passion for understanding my clients and paternal dynamics in their lives, while noticing a need for programs that support fathers and highlight the importance of paternal attachment. The participants for this study were CSU East Bay students, with the exclusion of MSW students to avoid feelings of coercion. The survey included a close relationship scale in a short 12-question form. The scale has two subscales, one for anxiety and one for avoidant attachment. The survey also included the inventory of parents and peer attachment revised tool that was used to assess for father and friend attachment. The total for the survey was 66 questions. The participants completed the survey online using Qualtrics, and it was advertised via flyers on campus and through emails from CSU East Bay staff. The preliminary results shown on the bottom of the screen are for 6 participants. When examining for correlation, there was only one pair of variables that had a significance with a p-value of less than 0.05. The Pearson coefficient was 0.86 for father and friend attachment. This means that high father attachment correlated with high friend attachment. There was also a moderate negative relationship between father attachment and close relationship anxiety attachment scores. This means that when paternal attachment was healthy, there was fewer anxiety attachment traits in the close relationship. The main limitation for my study was the time frame, which resulted in low participants in a very specific population, which decreases generalizability. My main recommendation for future studies would be to broaden the population and provide incentives for participants due to the length of the survey. I think this research could help researchers learn about paternal attachment and create programs that support fathers and highlight the importance of paternal attachment. This could look like father and child classes during different developmental stages that could lead to healthy paternal attachment. And I think in general, we could all learn for ourselves what our relationships look like based on our childhood. Thank you.
Very, very good. So you might know actually that our Department of Social Work is instituting a new bachelor's in social work, starting hopefully in a year or so. Maybe you could share your path. How did you end up in our master's in social work program?
Yeah, so I got my bachelor's in psychology, and I noticed that I really wanted to work with the communities here at East Bay. So I thought it would be great here to come to CSU East Bay to start learning about the community and start getting my education here. And social work just broadens that major of psychology into very different things like mental health, but also like case management with the communities.
All right, that's very good. Very, very good. Thank you so much. Our next presenter is Patrice Reynolds, and she's going to be talking about the Hive app, Connect and Build Community. Patrice is part of our Master's in Interaction Design and Interactive Art program, working with her advisor, Ian Pollock.
Do you remember when you were a kid and your mother would say, go outside and play with your friends, right? Well, it turns out she was onto something. Seriously, research proves that social interactions with one's peers is essential to overall well-being. Not only does it reduce stress, depression, and anxiety, but the support that is received by interacting with friends can also improve one's physical health. Socializing virtually is great, but meeting in person truly deepens your connections. In fact, in 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General called loneliness and isolation an epidemic. He associated it with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death. For women, having a sense of community is essential. It promotes a sense of safety, security, belonging. Being able to confide in others and have them confide in you helps strengthen social bonds. It has been documented that women who have close personal friends have lower instances of stress, experience less anxiety, and essentially live longer. Unfortunately, it can be very difficult for busy women and mothers to plan friend meetups. First, there are numerous work, family, and kid calendars to orchestrate. Next, scheduling a get-together typically happens over a group chat with dozens of back-and-forth text messages. This is highly inefficient. My solution was to design an app that has the ability to connect friends by effortlessly syncing their schedules and alerting meetups to the group. This app is called Hive. I conducted research in the form of interviews and surveys. I discovered my target audience was busy moms and women between the ages of 25 and 50, particularly those juggling multiple obligations. This group often finds it the most difficult to schedule friend meetups and often forgoes personal social interactions aside from the obligatory family, work, and school obligations. These women interviewed varied in their life's journeys. Some were single and career-focused. Others were stay-at-home providers for small children or school-age children, and yet others were sandwich generation moms, basically taking care of everybody from babies to elderly parents. They all said that they could benefit from an app that not only helps them plan the meetups, but acted as their personal concierge as well, essentially recommending restaurants and the local events. But what if the app could take it one step further and reserve restaurant tables, buy concert tickets, or reserve your concert tickets or secure your spot at the local yoga studio? So for next steps, I'm implementing these features to my prototype and will conduct another round of user testing. Helping women connect in person and finding joy in community is Hive's ultimate goal. So the next time you feel the desire to go out and meet with your friends, just go. It's great for your health.
Excellent job. So I actually have had the privilege of seeing the Masters in Interaction Design yearly show where everyone shows what they've done throughout the years, and they've done some amazing things. So how did you end up choosing our program?
I actually researched a lot of the interaction designs and interactive arts programs from all the CSUs and QCs, and I really felt like what Cal State East Bay was offering was super unique. I'm a grad student, so I'm like in my second, third, or fourth career really, and so I really wanted to have a leg up when I re-entered the job force.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Our next presenter is Ayush Sharma, and he is going to be speaking on American Sign Language recognition with deep learning model and web application. Again, Ayush is from my own home department of computer science, working with Dr. Hongmin Lee.
Do you know, every day, 33 babies are born with permanent hearing loss here in USA. Globally, over 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents who don't know sign languages and might not have resources to learn it. As a result, 3 out of 4 parents do not sign with their deaf children. They cannot have important conversations with them. Language deprivation syndrome happens when children doesn't get enough exposure to languages, either signed or spoken, in the early crucial years of life development. It is very common with the deaf children, but it can also affect hearing kids too. As a result, they will have challenges in life, in jobs, building relationships, and achieving goals later in life. To help prevent language deprivation, I have created a web application for learning American Sign Language in a fun and gamified manner. To the core of this web application is an AI model. I have trained this AI model to correctly recognize American Sign Language. So how it works? First of all, the web application will prompt the user to do a sign for a word. Then the AI model will recognize that sign and give feedback to the user if they have performed it correctly or not. Currently, my model is able to recognize 250 signs in American Sign Language. These are the 250 first concepts taught to any infant in any language. So I'd like to take this opportunity to teach you 2 very basic sign language. So first is thank you. Take your dominant hand, do this. Thank you. Thank you. And the second one is goodbye. Take your dominant hand and say goodbye. Goodbye. Here you go. Thank you.
Very good. Can I ask you, did you know sign language already before you started this project?
No, I haven't actually. But after working on this project, I really got fascinated, like how these sign language can be really helpful to people, like deaf people. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, I think that's great. That's it. Thank you very much. Great. So, I believe Yush was our last contestant, so that's fantastic. We're going to need just a few minutes to tally up the scores and choose the winners. All right, everyone, if we could, if everyone could take their seats, we're going to announce the winners. Move it forward a little bit, Mohit. One more. Perfect. Okay. All right. So we have 2 prizes for each of the undergrad category and the grad category. There's second and first prize. First prize is $400, and second prize is $250. So we're going to start with the undergraduate finalists. So our second prize winner is Katie Hermanson. Congratulations, Katie. Congratulations, Katie. Very good job. Excellent work. All right. And then our first place finisher in the undergrad category is Gabrielle Goristiza from the P-HAT category. Excellent job. This way. You can take a picture of the top.
1, 2, 3. Good.
Very good job. Excellent work. Fantastic. All right. Now we're going to move on to the graduate category. And our second place finisher in the graduate category is Alexandra Goodwin from the Masters of Reading and Literacy program. All right, and finally, our first place winner in the graduate category is Ayushi Divivedi from the Masters of Computer Science. Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Congratulations to everyone. Just so you know, all of the finalists received some participation prizes that they could go home with. And also we're going to send them all a certificate showing how well they did. Actually, we had over 50 people who actually applied originally, and these 16 finalists did a lot of hard work to make it to this level. Could you move this along, Molly? In addition, the 2 winners of our graduate category are going to go on to the CSU-wide competition, which is being held virtually by Cal State Long Beach in May, where they can actually go on to try to win more prizes. Right? So fantastic. We actually have our one Cal State East Bay judge that was asked to participate, and that's Dr. Jae Sung An from the Department of Hospitality and Recreation. Good, okay. And one more. So I'd just like to finish up by thanking everyone, in particular our finalists who put all this hard work into their presentations and did a fantastic job. All right, so good job to you guys. Thank you also to our esteemed judges. You did a fantastic job, very hard work. I'm trying to do those 7 criteria in 3 minutes each time. So thank you very much. Finally, thank you to our Grad Slam team here, and to particular Mr. Mohi Mehta, who is actually, again, one of our CS Grad alums who came to help, and Brewster in videography, and Irvin, and everyone. So thank you so much for all. So thank you very much. We actually have some cake, actually, in addition to the sandwiches. Please indulge if you'd like.